How are we doing? Players had a day off yesterday. Big time week this week. Pads go on here. So we're looking forward to a good week. Some situational ball going in. Be good. Yeah.
Emphasis for practice today?
Execution. So, now it's kind of that second week of install. So we want to make sure that we're clean. I liked where we're at going into the day off. Those plays, that execution of those concepts and things like that have to make sure those remain high as the new things go in, and make sure those, understand there's be some mistakes there, but that's you just kind of keep stacking execution on execution. So kind of make sure we play good, clean football.
Were you guys today?
No. Tomorrow.
Can you get a benefit out of, there's the little ceremony beforehand with the question and answers with fans and everything. Is there anything your football team can benefit with this stuff going on, or is that just?
We put blinders on, go to work.
How's the new kickoff stuff working? I mean, has it?
Awesome. Yeah, I like where it's at. This is a big week for us because in pads. So we got some things set up. Jeff's got a good plan for the next 3 days. He's got a good plan for the next until week 1. But, yeah, I think I'm looking forward to seeing with pads on. You know what I mean? Because I know what we're doing on the coverage team and on the return teams. But there's always a different element when you put on pads. So I'm sure we'll have to make some adjustments and adaptations. But the players are doing a good job with it.
Is it fun to have kind of a new toy to play with like that, or is it sort of disconcerting?
Yeah, you look at which mindset you want to take. So I take the first one until I don't.
You try different body types as a
Yeah.
returner?
Yeah. I mean, we got a handful of guys I think that are suited to do it. We just got to figure out what makes sense for that unit, for the team. Who is that back there? What 2 guys are back there? What 1 guy's back there? What 3 guys are back there? Who knows? So, but some guys, a lot of guys, I'm sure as you talk to the players, they want to do that. So it's good.
When guys get a day off like yesterday, do they stick around? Do they take off?
To each their own. You know what I mean? There's a lot of guys in the hotel yesterday I bumped into. Some guys, there's all those guys' recovery. They put time into the playbook. Little breakaway, I think, is good. You know what I mean? But that's even when I told them the team meeting before they left, they still, you can drop it down for a little bit, 13 seconds, but it's go time, so they know that.
You talk so much. You talk about obviously health and protecting the players. This day off, it's like a schedule. Almost there's a day off after every 3 days. How much does the sports performance staff collaborate on setting that schedule?
Huge, Howard. I mean, everybody in the building has a role with that, and ultimately, I make the decision of what we do. But I talk to everybody about that. The players first and foremost, because that's not what we did last year. We had a very different schedule as far as when the days off came, what days we were in pads, how we kind of structured it. So ultimately, I hope that it's the best thing for the players' development and health and evaluation part of it. But a lot of people's brain go into that. So we took a good hard look at what we did last year, and you got this person saying we need more walkthrough time, we need more practice time, we need to get them off their feet a little bit more, we got to put them on their feet a little bit more. So there's a lot of back and forth, but we've got a lot of experts in there, and I trust them, I lean on them, and make a decision and go.
Will you give vet days this year? Or, and if so, what will go into that?
No, I mean, every player's different. Kind of cross that bridge when we need to, but the schedule is set up where the guys that, when you ask me about that, Josh, who you would think in your mind, me too, if you ask them, hey, let's take a day off, they tell me no. So, because they know that reps are gold. But each individual is different, and, that's kind of a day-by-day thing. But right now we're not set up to really have any vet days. When I ask some guys, hey, if you need a day, just communicate with me here or there. Coach, I'm good. I want to practice.
Following up on Howard's question, you mentioned the other day that Kyler's participation in the preseason is a constant dialogue.
Okay.
How has that evolved with health concerns with a shorter preseason slate than it used to be a few years? How was that whole conversation?
Yeah, I think you take it, year by year, team by team, day by day, player by player. You know what I mean? So, the decision for him is going to be predicated on a lot of other things too. You know what I mean? What's he look like when you got to make that decision? What's he want to do? What do we need the offense, to where do we want the offense to be? Where Monty's at with it, where Drew's at with it, where Ish is at with it, So a lot of different factors that go in, and, there's a lot of different ways to do things, but hopefully when we make the decision, when we're making the decision, collectively we think that's the best thing for the team.
Beyond the kickoffs, are there other things that you're looking for when pads go on that are harder to analyze when they're not in there?
Yeah, I'd say probably everything. It's football to me, So it's just a lot. It just brings in a different element of something that's closer to the actual game. So when you want to talk about evaluation, true evaluation, in my opinion, comes in leading up to week 1 would be preseason games, because that's versus a different opponent and it's live. And then the days that we're in pads, Now we evaluate everything, but the most true evaluation I think that you can get is what's closest to what it's going to look like Sunday in Buffalo. So that's how we try to do it.
Is that true for all positions, or more so I'm thinking on the lines?
I probably think it's all positions, honestly. I might go the other way, because if you watch us without pads, the O and D line are pretty much full go. So.
How's that with overall health so far through 3 days of practice?
Say one more time.
Anybody nicked up in the first 3 days?
No, we're healthy.
You said you had great intel on Froholt from the guys who were coaching
Yeah.
there. What is it about him specifically, maybe on a personality scale, that you like or admire or champion the most?
Like my head coach answer would be that he's committed to doing everything that he can to become a better player. I like I'm going to fly off the cuff here, the dirt dog, meathead, ultra intelligent, but like keeps the main thing. Like I want to pick up a rock and carry it around. You know what I mean? Like I want to crush 40 grams of protein when I'm talking to you guys because I need protein. Like I kind of love that. But it all goes back into that's what he does to make sure that he's on point. You know what I mean? So it kind of all correlates back to what I said. But I love some of the things he does. We were actually watching the UFC fights, and I'm like, this is boring. I'm going to bed. And he was like, you got to love it, blood on blood, and this guy's snapping this guy's arm. And I'm like, this is boring to me. I'd rather go watch the Olympics, But, like, he just enjoys that barbaric, that part of the game. Say it again?
For a center, aren't they
I've been around different guys that are kind of different ways. You know what I mean? That's what's cool about him is he's so intelligent. So then you pair that with that other side of him, and he's a cool personality to be around. I love the guy.
What has stood out about Marvin Harrison Jr. being on grass the last 3 days for you?
His consistency of what he's doing, his ball skills, and route running. That's what I would say has shown up. So the things that Drew's on him to improve, Drew Terrell, and Whip and Blaine and Connor, that they're on him, kind of each guy's helping them in their own way. You see it showing up a little bit. So I like where he's at right now.
Is there a word to describe camp this year compared to last year when you take into consideration you have Kyler back, you're more comfortable, make all the changes you need?
Before you said all those examples, the word that came to my mind first was intense. I think that goes into the leadership and the fabric of the character that we have in the locker room. They're here to work.
Is it more stable this year than last year?
No, I wouldn't say stable. I would just say it's a little more intense.
He's looking like he's got a pretty good connection so far, 3 days into camp. So has he exceeded expectations or right exactly where you expected him to be?
When we signed him, when you watch the tape, he's a good player. That was a great ad by us, and his mentality of what he's looking for right now, the way he wants to compete, help the offense and help the team win, and matched up with my vision of that spot too. So he's competing for a role just like everybody, but he's a guy that I talk a lot of ball with. There's things when we talk to the team that I show examples of, and he'll take it on the chin because I showed an example of him on another team. That's something that we teach a little bit different. And it was cool to see him, react to that play. He was like, yeah, that was not real smart. You know what I mean? But, it wasn't a knock on his game. It's just what that other team did. That's cool. But we do it a little different way. I can get on board. I understand the why.
When Nick spoke to us a few weeks ago, he said that LJ Collier looks the best he's looked since he's been here. What have you seen so far during his recovery from the bicep injury to now?
I would say he's consistent. Consistency comes to my mind through the first OTAs, first 3 days of training camp. But this guy's a souped-up, strong, explosive cat. So that's what I want to keep seeing from him.
We've asked you a few times about the year 2 jump with the coaching staff being stable. You've been in 2 places, Minnesota and Philly, where that year 2 jump has really happened. I'm thinking 2015 and 2022. What's your sense of kind of why that is able to come together sometimes in that second year?
I think if you make the correct decisions on player acquisition, that helps. And then I think experience and continuity helps a little bit.
Is John Yank still limited, or is he?
He's going to be he's less limited, but a little limited for what you guys would know. That did not come out right, Tyler. Not yet the reps that everybody else is, but going pretty good here this week.
You learned that over the weekend Darius turned in his final assignment to get his master's degree?
I was. Kudos to him. You guys talked to him. You know him. There's a reason he's here.
You mentioned the difference this year from last year in the schedule. Obviously, overall camps are so different everywhere. How much do you think an impact has been the adding of nutrition people and sports science and all those things to really?
Well, yeah, like I said, when I first got here, a lot of those things were kind of in the works when Monty and I got here. And Michael's given us a lot of resources to make sure that part, what you're talking about, Howard, is on point. Because it takes a lot of resources in my mind to make sure that's right for the players. And, again, I can't name them all, but there's an army that you guys asked me, are we healthy? Yeah, we're healthy. I just said it today to the staff, like it takes an army to get that done. And everyone has their own avenues that they have to do a really good job to making sure we're on point collectively for the player, for all 90 guys. And that's what we're doing around the building, I feel, right now.
Going back to LJ for a second, last year this time was really all the time you had with him during the preseason and training camp. Obviously, he hit the free agency market, but you guys decided to bring him back. What was the thought process, or what did you see from this time last year that made you convicted to say, I want to?
Yeah, I think that the injury was, obviously a bad deal, and it happened early. I thought he was going to be a really good player for us, so we wanted to bring him back.
The health of the football team through 3 days, is that a reflection of all that support?
I think so. That a little bit. That's real. You know what I mean? Because you don't know. It's a known unknown. People are going to get hurt. You don't know who and you don't know what. But yeah, there is no doubt that it's a reflection of people doing a really good job with all the players. From nutrition to recovery to health standpoint to how we structure the weight room. How we structure practice, hopefully, that's on point. There's a lot of people that go into that, so they're doing a good job.
Do you think that allows for the increased intensity?
Probably, yeah. I think we talked about it today. I think we're at 78 guys at this point. We're at 90. So, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not cutting any reps. I'm adding reps. You know what I mean? Because we're healthy, ready to go. So you guys got to know, like, when guys start getting hurt, you keep the same script. Some people are going to pick up that volume's got to get picked up from somewhere. And now all of a sudden this guy's running way too hot and he gets hurt. You know what I mean? So there's this whole balancing trickle-down effect. You know what I mean? All 90 guys are up and running. Let's run them, so that's what we're doing.